can see the dot on the upper right-hand side, the little red dot that shows I'm recording. Please make sure you see that dot when we are in these proceedings to ensure that we are actually recording this matter so we don't have a problem later. So I ask for your help. I will be turning it off periodically so that we don't have a very big transcript, which is too big for anybody to really manage. So these are very big files with the video as well as the audio. Okay. All right. So this is ERD case number 2021-00120. The complainant is Sue Novak, Novak. The respondent is the state of Wisconsin DOC, in particular the Columbia Correctional Institution. The administrative law judge in this matter is Alice DeLeo, DELAO. And a complaint that was filed on January 21st, 2021 with the Equal Rights Division of the Department of Workforce Development. The complainant alleged that the respondent discriminated against her in terms and conditions of employment because of sex and terminating her employment because of sex. In an initial determination that was issued on November 9th, 2021, an investigator for the division found that there was probable cause to believe that the respondent violated the Wisconsin Fair Employment Act as alleged in the complaint, and this matter was certified to the hearing and mediation section for a hearing on the merits of the complaint. We have already held 3 days of hearing in this matter on March 29th, March 30th, and March 31st. So we are endeavoring to get this matter done now. We are now on, let's see, day 4 of this hearing, and today is April 25th, 2023, scheduled to start at 9. It's a little after 9:04 right now. And we are going to proceed. The complainant had not ended their case. When we ended last time, we were, Mr. Cross. Well, I suppose I should do the appearances for the complainant. There's an appearance by?
Cross Law Firm, Ben Hitchcock Cross, appearing with and on behalf of Sue Novak.
Okay, and for the response, there's an appearance by?
Eric Mullenbach, I'm an attorney with the Department of Corrections, and also appearing is Angela Riniker, who's a paralegal with the department.
Okay, and Ms. Riniker is going to be off screen during the hearing, correct?
Yes.
All right, and so as I was saying, Mr. Cross was doing his adverse examination of Ms. Makda Fassehaye at the time that we decided that it was getting too late and we had to end the hearing on that last day of the hearing. So unless there's something else, I see that Ms. Fassehaye is waiting in the lobby. Is there something we should discuss before we bring her back on, Mr. Cross?
No, that should be fine.
Okay, and Mr. Mullenbach?
Judge, I'd just like to note that I have a pretty hard cutoff today at 4:30. I have more flexibility for the remainder of the times, but today 4:30, I would need to end it if that's possible.
Okay, well, just remind me when we get in there and maybe remind us ahead of time, especially whoever is doing the examination at that time, so we can make sure that the person gets to a good place to end. There's better places than others to end an examination, okay?
Okay.
I will do that, Judge.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, then let's get Ms. Fassehaye in.
We're going to go on mute for 1 second here.
Okay. All right, Ms. Fassehaye, I do not see you. There you are. Oh, and you don't have wind blowing in your hair.
Not.
I appreciate your efforts that you made last time to be here, so I appreciate that. So we can get this matter done. We are waiting for Mr. Cross to come back. I suppose there's no big difference if I swear you in again now. So if you'll raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, under threat of possible prosecution of perjury if you make misstatements? You understand that?
I do.
All right. Then Mr. Cross, I've got sworn in Ms. Fassehaye again. I don't really think I have to, but I like to make sure that we're clear on the terms of the discussion before the witness begins. So I think since you had already started, Ms. Fassehaye, there wasn't too much issues, and I also believe you are an attorney, correct? You said you're an attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So if Mr. Cross wants to continue with his adverse examination, go ahead.
Great. Okay. I think we've talked about the escape for quite a while, and I think the immediate aftermath. What I want to now focus on is so the investigation of Sue Novak and above, and that sort of that area there. So as I understood it, that from your testimony last time, that you and Miss Novak initiated discipline on lower level employees without the input of the secretary. Is that right?
I'm sorry, in what case? Generally or in this particular case?
No, thank you for that clarification. So I'm just talking about the 2019 escape and the discipline that resulted from that. Okay.
Okay.
So
I'm sorry. Okay.
not at all. I don't mean to cut you off.
So you're asking whether or not we initiated disciplinary action?
Yes. Okay. But I'm also trying to bring you back to your testimony from last time, and as a sort of starting off point. And my question is, as I understood it, you initiated some discipline on your own without the input of the secretary. Is that right?
I don't know that that was my testimony.
Okay. So then let's step away from that being your testimony. Is that okay, were there waves of discipline after the escape?
Yes.
Okay. And is it fair to say that the first wave involved low level employees?
Yes.
Okay. Were you involved in that, authorizing those disciplinary reviews?
Yes.
Okay. And was Warden Novak involved in that as well?
I don't remember.
Okay. How about Doug Percy?
I don't remember.
Okay. Then there was a second set of disciplinary actions, right?
Yes.
Okay. And did that who did that involve?
So I wouldn't say disciplinary actions, I would say investigations.
Okay.
But the second set of investigations that occurred were with the leadership team at Columbia Correctional Institution, which included the security director, the deputy warden, and the warden.
Okay. Were there any other waves?
I don't remember.
Okay. So that second, the leadership team investigations, who initiated those?
I believe I did.
Okay. And was that in consultation with Secretary Carr?
I informed him of the fact that we were going to need to do an investigation.
Okay. And who identified the work rule violations that started those investigations?
I don't believe we identified any work rule violations at the beginning of the investigations.
Okay. And when you say the start of the investigations, do you mean signing of, I think it's a form called 15807 or something else.
I believe that's the number, but yes, it's the first page of the investigatory packet.
Okay, and you're the one who authorizes those, right?
In this particular case, I was the one that initiated them, but I wouldn't say that generally, no.
Okay. So who else can authorize these 15807s?
An appointing authority?
Okay. But if it's the warden, that decision is really being made by the secretary or yourself, right?
I'm sorry, can you repeat your question?
If the warden is the appointing authority, the decision to initiate discipline is really being made by the secretary or yourself, right?
No.
Why not?
Well, an appointing authority has disciplinary authority. And so typically a warden, if there's something that is high profile or sensitive, they would inform central office, they would inform their supervisor, who would be the deputy or the assistant administrator. But a warden has the authority to initiate an investigation without approval of the administrator or the secretary. Oftentimes, the secretary never saw an investigation unless it required his approval at the back end for a level of discipline that would be seen. There were a number of investigations that occurred that only a warden would ever be aware of.
Okay. And what about for this escape? Did that occur here?
I honestly don't remember. There was a lot of moving pieces.
What does that mean?
I mean, there was a lot of different pieces involved with this particular escape. So I don't know that. Well, I know for sure that we didn't have to ask the secretary for permission to investigate the lower level employees. And I was likely involved in the conversations with the warden about either putting people out on administrative leave with pay or initiating an investigation. But the decision was not my own alone. The warden, as the appointing authority, had that decision.
Okay. And you recall us going through how you're the supervisor of the wardens, right?
I was the supervisor of her supervisor.
Okay. And in your role as the administrator, did you ever have a situation where a warden disagreed with a disciplinary decision by the secretary or yourself?
I'm gonna object to relevance.
That question again, please.
Sure. While you were the administrator, did you ever have an instance where a warden disagreed with a disciplinary decision by yourself or the secretary?
I'm not sure how that's relevant in this case.
How not?
How would it be? The issue is whether or not about Miss Novak being investigated. That's the whole case, is about her, not about whether she was second guessed on her decision to investigate lower level employees.
So this is what we call comparisons. That's how you.
Yeah,
One of
and
the
then
things
you
that
want to
showed-
talk about her in comparison to how other wardens were treated. That's fine, but let's not talk about whether or not Miss Novak was treated differently in terms of her ability to supervise or discipline other people. That's not part of her case. That's not part of her complaint.
Okay, I think I understand that issue. No problem. Thank you for that clarification. Okay. So as the division administrator, was there a policy for when to put an employee on administrative leave?
I don't remember.
Okay. And to refresh my recollection, you had worked in HR before you were the administrator, right?
I worked in the Employment Relations Office within Human Resources, and then I worked in legal counsel as an attorney.
Okay. And how long, when was the last time you were the administrator?
2021, January 2021.
Okay. So, let's then go into this investigation that started into Sue Novak. Okay. Don't you need to have a work rule violation allegation before you start an investigation?
I think you have to have circumstances that you believe need to be investigated, but you don't determine a work rule violation prior to any investigation.
Okay. So if you look at that 15807, it's just going to say that there were circumstances that were worthy of investigation, or what?
I believe I wrote a summary of what we were going to be investigating.
Okay. And again, what's the purpose of this form 15807?
That is the form that launches the investigation. An appointing authority writes it or signs it. And that is then provided to investigators to give them a foundation of what exactly the basis for the investigation is. And then from there, they ask their questions. And I've gone through the process of the disciplinary process or the disciplinary investigation before, so I won't repeat that. But you go through that entire process, and that's how you make determinations.
Right, but that's also who that form is also what decides who is the subject of an investigation, right?
Right.
Okay. So for example, Doug Percy could not have been investigated because he was never the subject of you never signed a 15807 form for him, right?
I did not investigate Doug Percy.
Okay. And you also didn't do that for yourself, right?
No, I can't investigate myself, sir.
No, okay. But again, you were the warden's, the supervisor of the warden's supervisor, right?
Yes,
Okay. And Doug Percy was the warden's supervisor, is that right?
correct.
Okay. So why was it that there was no investigation into Doug Percy?
I did not see a reason for Doug Percy to be investigated.
Why not?
I don't know that there was any concern related to his actions related to the escape.
Okay. Who would have had that concern?
Well, it wasn't me, so I don't know who else would have had it.
Okay. Well, who had concerns related to Sue Novak?
I did.
Okay. And who else?
Me.
I'm sorry, what?
It was me. I don't know who else would have had concerns, but I had concerns.
Well, how about the secretary, for example?
Well, I informed the secretary that I had concerns.
Okay, so it's your testimony here today that it was just you who launched the investigation into Sue Novak without consulting with any input from the secretary?
I didn't say that, sir.
Okay. So what input did the secretary have, if any, into your decision to write this 15807 on Sue Novak?
I don't know that he had any specific input. We discussed it. And
Okay,
then
how about
I wrote the
unspecific?
15807.
What were the nature of these discussions?
From what I recall, it was me saying, based on what I'm seeing in the after action reports, et cetera, we might have to launch an investigation into the actions or inactions of the leadership team at CCI.
Okay. And what response, if any, did he give at that point?
I mean, I don't remember.
Okay, but after that, you then wrote this 15807, is that right?
Yeah, and the secretary and I talked all the time, so it's difficult for me to recall every single conversation. This was obviously a very highly sensitive, unusual matter, so a lot of people were talking all the time about it, but I can't specify conversations. I just know that I did talk to him before launching it because that was my practice.
Did you talk to anybody, did you discuss your testimony with anybody between today and the last time you testified?
No,
Okay. Do you have any communications of any kind with anybody regarding your testimony between now and the last time you testified?
with anybody,
Right.
my family.
Did you review your testimony?
Did I review it?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. But today you're sure that the secretary, you don't recall what input the secretary had and the decision to start an investigation into Sue Novak, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And do you recall what your testimony was on that the last time you testified?
No.
Okay. So do you recall a lockdown at CCI, I think in November, at least in November of 2018, I believe? 2019, yeah. Before the
Yes.
Okay. And did you have regular meetings, or should I say daily meetings with the secretary about the lockdown at CCI?
I don't remember having daily meetings with him about the lockdown in November of 2019.
Okay, how about at any other time?
I don't remember having specific daily meetings related to the lockdown at CCI.
Did you get
The
daily
lockdowns.
Did you get daily reports from Doug Percy about the lockdowns at CCI during November of 2019? I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I said I don't remember.
You don't remember. Okay. Do you remember getting daily reports from Doug Percy at any time?
Doug and I spoke all the time. I don't remember specifically what reports he was giving me.
Okay. And you don't remember anything about lockdowns at CCI in November of 2019?
No, I remember the lockdown in November 2019. I just can't specifically testify to whether or not I had daily reports or daily meetings about it.
Okay. Did you tell Doug Percy to get daily updates from Board and Novak during the lockdown in November of 2019?